What does spritz mean? I came across the word shpritz in the following sentence of a New York Times article, May 12, titled, "At 100, still a teacher, quite a character." At 100 years old, Miss Kaufman is still spritzing jokes, Jewish and otherwise, which is in her genes. Her grandfather was the great Yiddish storyteller Sholem Aleichem, a writer who was able to squeeze heartbreaking humor out of the most threadbare deprivation and wove the bittersweet Tevye stories that became the source for Fiddler on the Roof. As I am unfamiliar with the word spritz, I consulted several English dictionaries. Neither Cambridge Dictionary nor Merriam-Webster Dictionary had entry of this word. Reader's English-Japanese Dictionary defines it as VT. Attack, slander. N. A bit. Urban Dictionary defines it as a word of German language origin, similar meaning to that of semen, or spunk. Now used in popular English to describe the act of being impressed, aroused, happy, or ecstatic, upon seeing or tasting a person/substance/product. More commonly used to describe uncontrollable release of excitement or joy. However, neither the definition from Reader's English-Japanese Dictionary nor Urban Dictionary seem to me to apply to the phrase Miss Kaufman is still spritzing jokes, Jewish and otherwise. Though I think there's good reasons for picking up the word, shpritz. What does it mean exactly? Is it a popular English word as Urban Dictionary asserts?
Found a little history on the word. It is indeed Yiddish. Shpritz, spurt, to squirt, to sprinkle, m. Neil Carlin in The Story of Yiddish, How a Mishmash of Languages Saved the Jews, says the word took on new meanings within a community of young Jewish comedians, exemplified by Lenny Bruce, in New York in the 1940s. Using Yiddish as a base, the young Jewish comics helped develop only the second art form indigenous to the United States, the shpritz, aka Jewish jazz. African American jazz is often thought of as the only such legitimate claimant. Curiously, jazz is slang for ejaculate, shpritz is Yiddish for spray. Talk amongst yourselves. Wikipedia has this description from Albert Goldman, of Lenny Bruce spritzing during a famous Carnegie Hall concert. Lenny worshipped the gods of spontaneity, candor and free association. He fancied himself an oral jazzman. His ideal was to walk out there like Charlie Parker, take that mic in his hand like a horn and blow, blow, blow everything that came into his head just as it came into his head, with nothing censored, nothing translated, nothing mediated, until he was pure mind, pure head, sending out brainwaves, like radio waves into the heads of every man and woman seated in that vast hall. Because of the word's historical association with Jewish comedy, its use in the quote you found is quite appropriate and well chosen, even if a bit esoteric.
Spritz or shpritz comes from Yiddish meaning a spray. Spritz 1917, from Yiddish or ger, lip. Spray. Spritz or glass of wine mixed with carbonated water is from 1961. I don't think it is often used with spritzing jokes, but the writer is deliberately using it to draw a connection with Belle Kaufman's Jewish heritage. The use of Yiddish in American writing is common enough in novels and writing. Philip Roth comes to mind when I think of writers of Jewish identity that often use Yiddish words to pepper their writing and draw on their cultural identity.
Words imported relatively recently in English from another language go through a period during which their status as legitimate English, as opposed to foreign borrowings, may be in doubt. In the case of spritz, we are dealing with two levels of complication. First, we have the problem that the spelling shpritz identifies the word as Yiddish, not English. Although use of shpritz is not especially rare in the United States, the word doesn't appear in standard dictionaries such as Merriam-Webster's 11th Collegiate Dictionary, 2003, or the American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language, 5th edition, 2011. On the other hand, it does appear in dictionaries of American English slang, and has for at least 35 years. From Robert Chapman, New Dictionary of American Slang, 1986. Shpritz in a bit or touch, a dose, each a free associational shpritz of surreal Heidi-ho, village voice, fr Yiddish, literally, a squirt. From Barbara Kitver and Robert Chapman, Dictionary of American Slang, 4th edition, 2007. Shpritz in a bit or touch, a dose, each a free associational shpritz of surreal Heidi-ho, village voice. 1970 S plus semicolon FR Yiddish, literally, a squirt. From Tom Dalzell and Terry Victor, The New Partridge Dictionary of Slang and Unconventional English, 2006. Shpritz, Shpritz verb to squirt or spray us Yiddish, cited example, the Irish got spritzed and spritzed and spritzed. Lenny Bruce, The Essential Lenny Bruce, p. 20, 1967. So it appears that at least since the 1970s spritz has been a term in active use in US slang or, in what Eric Partridge offers as an alternative language category, unconventional English. Second, we have the complication that Shpritz was preceded into mainstream English by a very similar term from German, spritz. Unlike Shpritz, spritz does appear in Merriam-Webster's 11th Collegiate. Spritz VB, G spritzen to squirt, spray, VT, 1902, spray tilde by to disperse or apply a spray, spritz N. But don't let that 1902 origin date in English fool you. The first edition of the Collegiate Dictionary series to include an entry for spritz was the 9th, 1983, before which time people could make the same argument about its legitimacy as a real English word that they are free to make today about spritz. But given that Merriam-Webster lists spritz as a verb in standard English meaning spray, and given that Dalzell and Victor defines spritz as a verb, as meaning to squirt or spray in US slang, how are we to distinguish between spritz and spritz when someone uses the word in spoken English as a verb? Are they really two different words, one English and one foreign? In the example that Yuichi Oishi asked about, at 100 years old, Ms. Kaufman is still spritzing jokes, Jewish and otherwise, which is in her genes. The person being described as Jewish and the journalist's use of the spelling spritzing signals the intention to invoke the Yiddish form of the word, but I can't for the life of me see any difference in meaning between the spraying, spewing or squirting of jokes implied by spritzing and the spraying, spewing or squirting of jokes that would be implied by the spelling spritzing. I suspect that native English speakers in the United States are not particularly conscious of any distinction between spritz and spritz, whether used as a verb or used as a noun, and that for all intents and purposes the difference is simply one of pronunciation. Whether you are inclined to view neither as a real English word, both as real English words, or one as real and the other as an interloper, both function in the language as familiar in the United States, slang terms for a spray or squirt, as a noun, or to spray or squirt, as a verb.
When used in Jewish jokes, the word has the specific meaning of in your face, meaning the joke is in your face, like a spray, shpritz, of water. But even more precise is its meaning as soda squirted from a distinctive seltzer bottle as used by vaudeville clown. Thus, the expression attributed to Lenny Bruce that he insults Gentiles directly, spritzing the goyim.
It is Yiddish. Spritz corresponds to the German spritz meaning spray in standard English.
If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing.